Welcome to Goldboys Live, presented by Pickett Sports, Boom Fantasy, Brian versus the Books, Brad Thomas. It is one of the best days of the year. It is draft day. It's usually a little better because we usually have the draft, a bunch of NBA playoff games, a bunch of NHL playoff games, full day of baseball. I don't know why they had all those games at once on last night in the NBA. We had the Bucks, Heat, and we had the Kings and the Warriors both on the same time. Really made no sense. But boys, I guess we got to start with the Bucks Heat, with one of the great collapses, one of the great upsets in NBA history. I'm still just sort of reeling for how that game ended. Just quick reaction here on the Heat showing the Bucks the door in just dramatic fashion last night.
Yeah, I think I mentioned it in our group chat. The most surprising thing is I still believe the Bucks are the better team, which I think we can admit just because they lost. But man, they had the lead in the fourth quarter. Was it 16 last night, and was it 12 the night before? Like, you can't be that
Well,
good
up
of a
4 with
team.
8 seconds left.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just talking about you shouldn't
I
even
know.
get into that position. Like they had that locked down, and they really it was crazy. Like I can't believe they blew those leads.
What was crazy to me was how they changed from the third quarter to the fourth quarter in back-to-back games. Like all game, they're running the big on big pick and roll. They have back screens. They have great movement. And then the fourth quarter hits, then it's all post up, forced shots, mid-range shots with no rhythm. Like it's like as a coach, you have to like see that's not working. Go back to what's worked this entire time. And also the lack of usage of timeouts by Bud there. Holy crap.
Do we think
Awful.
he survives this?
You can't, right? So you saw someone posted, put Phil Jackson as head coach. They win 3 rings in 5 years or something. It's not that you lost in the first round. Like if they lose in the first round and it goes 7, like it's a little bit more forgivable. They lost in 5 while blowing 2 double-digit fourth quarter leads.
I will say, I know I'm not like a Giannis. Like obviously Giannis is Giannis, but man, watching him in that late quarter in the last 2 games, you kind of wonder where people try to make fun of Giannis. I don't try to make fun of him about his lack of skill and his lack of like shooting touches and that. And it's always like, he's still the best player. But man, that was crazy. Just watching watching how that collapse went down. Where someone mentioned my Wi-Fi. I think it's because I have too many tabs open. I was trying to get everything done really fast. But yeah, just watching him, the whole you call them people run and dunk where it doesn't work late in the game. The shots weren't falling, and I think it was late last game with like 30 seconds left. He pulled up from the elbow jumper and missed it. And my first thought was, man, if the roles were reversed and that was like Jimmy Butler, all these like Kevin Durant, like even like Joel Embiid, some of these other guys, it's like who's missing that wide open elbow jumper to put the team away? It's really tough to watch.
And he didn't shoot the ball well at all this year. When you look at some of the advanced stuff, just like outside of 4 feet, his shot chart is ugly. And man, the free throws, he can be hot and cold with the free throws. That was like I don't know. It's like watching a pitcher who can't throw strikes just walk the ballpark because it's in his head. You can see it's in his head. It's painful. There's nothing to do. There's nowhere to hide. When you can't make the free throws, it's tough. And I don't know. Does that make you feel differently about Giannis? I have to admit it does a little bit for me. That's a terrible performance.
He has no bag.
If Durant's foot's not on the line a couple years ago against the Bucks and the Nets don't get hurt, like the Bucks never make the finals, we're looking at Giannis completely differently. Like he's a regular season player. He can't do it in the playoffs. And I don't know that that's completely fair, but that's what we'd be saying right now.
But also, like, look at this. Drew Holiday had five assists going into the second half. They were playing really good basketball. He had one assist in the third quarter where they played absolutely awful basketball. He touched the ball minimal times in the clutch. What was that, 5 minutes on in that game? It's not that I think Drew Holiday should be the guy taking the shots. It's when you're having these turnovers or you're having these possessions where Chris Middleton's holding the ball for 20 seconds and then passing it and then trying to repost and then forcing a shot with 1 second left on the shot clock. That's when I start to wonder, why does Drew Holiday not have the ball in his hand? Why is he not creating? Why is he not at least getting his team set up in the right situations? I think there's just so much bad play calling. But I mean, it's easy for me, right? Like I had no money on either side for either games that we watch, like in terms of the actual game. So it was easy for me to just sit back and nitpick and say what they did wrong. But like it just felt like the errors were so obvious.
It was so funny because I was watching it. I was at trivia night with my dad and some friends. And the game was on, but it was one of those things where it's a sports bar where the game was on, but no one was like watching it. I was like doing that thing where I was like, "Are you kidding me?" I'm looking around like no one else is carrying with the game. I was like, "How is no one locked into this game right now?" Like it was me and my friend and like a bar full of people that didn't give a shit about the game, and it was crazy to watch. That it was one of those things where we mentioned it the game before where you said, "Oh, they're down 9, but it still felt the Heat were gonna win." That's what it felt like last night. You keep telling yourself, "Oh, it's 10-point game, 8-point game." You're like, all right, like they're not
6 with 2 minutes to go. Like 6 with 2 minutes to go. Like it's not. Nobody wins those games. Like it's oh man, what a
you just
disaster.
keep thinking about it. And Will, you know this as a big college basketball person, but where do dogs go to die? In overtime, usually, usually the better team, even whether it's college.
Yesterday, I didn't feel that way though
NBA.
because the way that game ended, he just felt like Milwaukee.
Yeah.
You didn't feel like that. You didn't.
No,
feel
I
like
agree.
that.
I'm just saying, usually in those spots, like the better team, whether it's baseball, basketball, football, if it goes to overtime, the better team can usually prevail. And last night, it didn't feel that way. It went to overtime, and you were thinking, "Oh, that must be rough." And then, what did Giannis shoot from the line in overtime?
10 of 23. They missed 17 free throws, I think, as a team.
But in overtime, I think he was there a lot, and he just couldn't drain one. And they kept.
And then he fouls Strus shooting 3, which I thought the announcer did a terrible job. I thought the announcer was really just sort of underselling the game to begin with. It was the NBA TV crew. It was sort of the JV crew where there's like, and he fouls the 3-point shooter. He's like, fouls the 3-point shooter. You're about to get eliminated. We're looking at one of the great upsets in NBA history. Like, have a little more like, a little more excitement. He was just way too ho-hum for me. And we haven't even mentioned after everything that happened, Bucks are down 2 with a chance to tie or win the game. They don't even get a shot off, which is just it's hard to believe. It really
awful.
Is. Yeah. I wasn't even looking at the clock. They stopped playing. What happened? Oh, they ran out of time. I don't know that I've ever seen that anything like that. I'm sure I have. But man,
it's so funny. I kind of half laughed as you guys were talking, only because my girlfriend's dad texted me a link. It was the link comment or thumbnail says. Grayson Allen's costly blunder and Sun season in embarrassing fashion. He sent me that link and says, "Couldn't have happened to a nicer guy." So I thought that was a really funny tidbit. But yeah, that was crazy.
They had some chances to get a good look up too. I thought they had some looks.
Unfortunately,
Grayson
Allen's going to get the heat for that. I don't even think that was his fault. Like,
no I think Grayson Allen actually cut. The only thing Grayson Allen could have done better was a little floater because his look wasn't bad. Like he got the ball and attacked the rim. I think he did the right move. I think he just took the extra half second to drive rather than go for the floater.
All right, enough of this. I'm so sick of this. I lost so much money. Just kept doubling down on the series parlays, just everything. You name it. Bucks to win the title yesterday, and I got a little back. I played plus 6.5 when it was going when it was getting off the rails there. So I was hopefully. I had a chance to middle, but my goodness, it didn't work out. Should we get to the game? Before we get to the game tonight, Knicks are like minus 125 against the Heat. I'm going to do it again. I'm going to bet against the Heat. I just think the Knicks are deeper. They have home court. I don't know that Thibodeau will let one player beat them. I like the Knicks here. Do you guys have any initial thoughts? Knicks Heat.
I probably lead the Knicks because exactly what you just said. I know playoff Jimmy is playoff Jimmy, and we all accept that playoff Jimmy is phenomenal, but the Bucks did not make like any adjustments. We talked about Jay Crowder in game 4 about how he didn't see any minutes and this and that. I don't think the Knicks are going to go a whole series saying, okay, this is our original defense. We're not going to make any adjustments. Like it's not, I'm not saying it's easy to stop a guy like Jimmy when he's motivated, but the Bucks seem like they didn't care. Like Jimmy Butler's not a guy you can just let do his thing and say, oh, we can survive the punches and still win. And they just did not make any adjustments on him. I don't think the Knicks will do that.
I think the Knicks win the series. Like it was the Jimmy Butler show. It wasn't like I know Gabe Vincent had a good game, like blah 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 blah. But if we look at supporting cast, like we compare Miami supporting cast to the Knicks. The Knicks, RJ Barrett learned how to play basketball this postseason. Mitchell Robinson, after has been dogging him for ages, he went out there and had like 15 rebound performance. Hopefully Julius Randle's healthy. Quickly playing good. Josh Hart, like
Josh Hart's I love Josh Hart.
Yeah,
I was gonna
I like
say
the
is the
Knicks.
only thing you got to worry about is I wonder how Randall does feel. Because what are your thoughts? Because I was a little sad because I took Julius Randle's RA a double, and he had 10 RA. I needed one more, and he got hurt and then didn't return. So I was a little sad about that. But do you think it was more serious than it led on, or do you think it was one of those things where potentially I was thinking like 'cause he was on the bench, and my first thought was I wonder if he could return if he had to. Like it almost seemed
Yeah,
like
that's
I
what I
wonder
thought it
how
was.
it kind of seemed like the game never got within 10, but I wonder if the Cavs made a run, if he would have tried it out, like taped up or something. I wonder how severe that is.
I think if they made I felt like if it didn't feel like they were going to eliminate like it didn't look at all like the Cavs were going to win that game, it would have been a different story. But why would you bother risking it? You know, like I feel like it's not even worth it at that point.
Knicks 20-1 to win the title at DraftKings. It's hard to believe, but they got a chance to be in the conference finals here. Hey, as we've seen, anything can happen. I'm kind of kicking myself because I think we said all year the NBA was a little NCAA tournament-ish where there's so much parity. It's almost like the NFL where anybody can win, which is usually not the case for the NBA. Usually stars win out, but it was a year without dominant teams, and we started to see that play out. So, man, the Knicks in the finals, it's not impossible that, look, Boston's looked, fallible at some points here, and we'll get to that game. That's the one game tonight. I don't know. I like the Knicks. I do think they'll beat the Heat, and boy, just an incredible collapse from the Bucks. Let's get to the game tonight. Celtics are laying 7. I still can't believe. Speaking of collapses, now it's a little different because you're up 3-1. Celtics are probably still going to win this series. That was a ridiculous collapse. They're up 13 with 6 minutes to go at home, closing them out the other night. What are your thoughts here, Brad? Start with you. Celtics laying a touchdown in Atlanta.
I am so absolutely ticked off at myself because you know when you have props like you have the ones that you have circled and you're like you find a way to talk yourself out of it and it hits. On my player prop for Trae Young threes, it was minus 115 and I just talked myself out of it because I was like, what if he has a bad shooting night? But he was going to take 15 threes regardless. Like he hit that with ease. I was so mad. Like the only bet I had was Robert Williams and which hit, and then Marcus Smart, which wasn't even remotely close. It's like I broke even. I lost juice, and but I was so mad at myself for leaving money on the table. I think their offense, and why I'm saying Trae Young, it kind of has a segue here. I think their offense goes back to being just as stagnant when they have 2 ball dominant guards back on the court. With DeJounte Murray out, their offense looks better because Trae Young was able to be on the ball. He had a crap ton of assists, a crap ton of potential assists. He was shooting, not just standing in a corner, letting Murray cook, and then they just rotate roles.
Yeah, and I was about to say the same thing. Is I almost think the Hawks will look back to looking kind of less exciting on offense because I was actually just talking about earlier today with some people. They have 2 ball dominant guards that play on ball and don't really tend to play as well in like the spot up shooting. So I honestly don't really play sides. But I'm leaning towards laying the touchdown with the Celtics because I think the Hawks are getting a little bit maybe overvalued for being a home team and being in desperation. But besides that, like last game and the other game they stole at home, I guess. I mean, I don't think they have the firepower. I think Murray being back is gonna hurt them. So I actually might take the Celtics at 7.
Yeah, 7's a lot at home, though. I would lean toward these dogs have been playing well here, and boy, we sat here 2 days ago and like, are any of these games going to be close? They were all huge spreads, and obviously Atlanta pulled a huge upset, and the other 2 games are very close. So maybe I'm just being reactionary here. I would lean towards taking the 7, but look, it's not something I've bet yet.
The lines,
I would lean towards taking the 7. Yeah,
the lines. I don't really track. You guys know I love tracking the movement and the amount of money on each side. I don't do that much for the playoffs just because there's not enough action. And there's a lot more casual bettors that come out and bet these games. The line moved in favor of the Celtics.
Yeah.
I don't even think I was going to play the original number. What was that, 6.5 or 6? I don't think I was going to play that original number either.
I think when there's a standalone game, when there's only one game, you get a lot of people. Oh, you got like you said, casual money. There's people that are like, all right, there's only one game on tonight. I'm going to bet it. Those people tend to bet favorites more. Celtics are the better team. They got to win, that kind of thing. So I think when it's one standalone game, whether it's Sunday Night Football, Monday Night Football, I think you do see generally a little bit of an inflation towards the favorite or movement towards the favorite. It's just a theory. I don't know.
I think this. I agree.
So any play for you guys? Is this going to be a play or just a lean?
I'm not going to even lean on this game. I'm going to watch it and hopefully I can find something live. Maybe like someone gets in foul trouble, like maybe like John Collins gets in foul trouble or something, and there's a player prop that I can find.
That's a good question.
I just,
mean, yeah, because we're going to get to the draft. Are you guys even going to watch this game? Or are you going to be out at a place where you can have one eye on it? Like, what are the plans for tonight? We'll get to the draft.
This is going to be a little bit of a plug. We're actually going to be live on Twitch, same channel, with some draft live reactions and coverage here for Goldboys.
Are there any sites?
Yeah.
I think there are some, at least some offshore. I don't know if the legals allow you to do it, where you can live bet the draft.
Offshores you can. I don't know
Okay.
if legals you can do that.
What options do they? They have to do it 2-3 picks down the road. So if let's say we're on pick 6, it's like you can only bet for like pick 9.
So
just
what they'll
because it's
they'll do like a few
offense,
picks
defense
down.
player, that kind of thing.
You go offense, defense, and then they also do like player positions, like under, over, and then teams
Position of next pick.
position.
Yeah.
I was at a when the Bucks had, I think it was like the 7th overall pick or something a couple of years ago. I was at a draft party, and that's when the Chargers took Derwin James. I was at a draft party, and the dude literally goes, "Guys, everyone max Chargers Derwin James." And I'm just like, dude, shut up, man. Not hitting. And the odds were really tasty. It was like plus 250. And that was like my only experience with betting live, because I'm just gonna be so plugged into my 2 bets that end at the beginning of the playoffs. I mean, that will probably end by the 25th pick.
Other series could be the best series of the playoffs. Before we get to some draft stuff, Suns laying $1.40. You can't win a series in 5 games and be less impressive than the Suns were. That was not impressive. But Jokic on the other side, Jokic does not look healthy. He missed a ton of shots. He was not moving around well. Remember, he had a calf injury at the end of the year. Now he's never the most athletic guy to begin with, but he just did not look good to me. I guess I lean towards the Nuggets at plus 120. Like, life on the line, I probably pick the Suns to win. I have Suns futures, so I'm not touching this. What are your guys' thoughts here? Suns, Nuggets, Suns laying $1.40.
I'm gonna let Brad take, because I know you sent it in the group chat. Are you taking the Nuggets to plus 120?
I'm not taking the Nuggets. I was just actually surprised that we'll have the ability to bet the Nuggets at the price that we will. Like, if people want to bet the Nuggets, they can. I just think that this price is inviting way too many people to want to bet on the on the Nuggets. I just want to hear you guys' opinion on it. Like, I placed it because I want to hear you guys talk about it.
I know Will has like a lot of future on the Suns, and I think he's even kind of iffy on the series. But I will say a lot of people I'm seeing on Twitter, or like I'm seeing talk about the series, are very high on the Nuggets and taking them at plus money. I'll take the stand and be the devil's advocate here, where the Suns didn't look as impressive as you would hope. They really did not last series, but there was times where they looked unstoppable. I mean, that fourth quarter collapse last game was super concerning. But that third quarter, you watch that team, and you're like, holy shit, who could beat this team? They put up 50 points in a quarter, and it was just like, wow, I can't believe that. So I think this is gonna go 6 or 7, but
You're going with Suns?
I probably would have taken the Suns at a better price. How about that? Like, if the odds were reversed and the Nuggets at some point became favorites because of action, I would probably put some action on the Suns.
Life on the line, who wins it?
Suns.
I want to go Suns. I know everyone's going to think that go Nuggets, but I do think that the Suns just have players that can step up. And not saying that Jokic can't or Jamal Murray can't, but I just think there's too much firepower on the Suns where down the line, like I've seen so many times, we've seen it before, where the Suns in the fourth quarter outside of that last game, I mean, Monty Williams has been really good in his career in terms of adjustments. And you know how, like, I used to live bet the Suns every single time they were down to the fourth, just because they can turn it on. So I think when the chips are down, we saw the Nuggets not be able to close it out. The Suns were scary, in that game 5, but they still closed it out. And I think that's the difference.
Remember when you texted and you were like getting worried about Suns money line? I was like, well, Suns are minus 4.5. And I went to go bet it because I was like, I'm not going to say it. And it line instantly went to 10.5. And I was like, God dang it. God dang it.
Yeah, they collapsed it. I think that's the only thing is I think the Suns are in a good position here because the biggest thing that hurt them in the Clippers series was that when their bench unit came out, the Clippers just played with a lot better pace and firepower. This is two teams that have terrible bench units. So it's almost like it negates the
Yeah.
fact that the Suns don't have the depth because all the problems they have with their depth, the Nuggets might have it worse. So I think if you're going based off, each side playing their starters for 40 minutes, I think the Suns just have a better roster.
Kings Warriors, that's over.
It's over. Toast. I lose my money. Man, I should have played
Yeah.
the other side. Like, oh, I'm so stupid.
That was the point. I know we talked about De'Aaron Fox and saying with that broken finger, I did take his under, and I'm a little upset. I lost by 1 PR, the 0.5 because he got 7 rebounds. But I was shocked that he hit 3 threes in the first half, and in the second half he shot. I think he was 2 for 2. I forget what it was. He shot terribly in the second half, and I know he's the big clutch guy and this and that, but you could tell he was bothered by his shooting, and I was surprised he kept pulling up a lot in that third quarter when things started to slip away. I'm surprised he didn't delegate a little bit more.
Yeah, I just think Kings, they could have beaten the Warriors, but they needed their best fastball. You couldn't throw 90% of your best fastball and win this. And once Fox is hampered a little bit, it was a game effort, but it's going to be the Warriors and probably the Lakers. Man, that's a hell of a second round. Knicks Heat is fun. It'll be the Bucks and the Celtics, the Celtics and the Sixers. So Sixers, Celtics, Lakers, Warriors. I mean, you're going to get some great series. I don't think Memphis comes back to win.
It's going to be a crazy second round. I mean, what are some of the more iconic? Some of the more iconic matchups in the last
it's
few
so
years
rigged.
Actually,
LeBron versus Steph.
Yeah,
it's got to be rigged.
LeBron versus Steph. I mean, you get the Suns Nuggets was a great series too. There's some bad blood there.
Yep.
And Celtics Sixers, you can't write a better story. Not saying
before we move on to NFL. Yeah, but before we move on to NFL, who would you guys have in the draft? I mean, not in the draft, in the finals right now.
The Bucks,
Suns, Knicks.
Goddamn Bucks. The goddamn
Suns, Knicks,
Bucks.
probably.
Suns, Knicks, really?
I said this in a show earlier.
Let's see what that pays out.
And I'm literally going to stand by this.
I don't hate it.
It's not that I trust the Knicks. I just feel like Tatum does not have the clutch factor.
Yeah, there's
Tatum
a little too. You're not the first.
He's such a great player, but when the chips are against him, instead of attacking, doing what he does best, he just settles to shoot threes, and I think that's going to cost them.
This is wild to me.
Is that who you think? Not that I don't want to cut you off, but I want to focus on Tatum for a second. Who do you think Damian Lillard was talking about in that cryptic tweet where he said you can't be him one day and then change your identity the next or whatever?
I don't know.
That was such a weird tweet.
Wait, who said that? Whose tweet was that?
It was Damian Lillard. He tweeted that out.
I thought it was about Dillon Brooks.
Was it about Dillon Brooks?
That's who I thought it was about.
It was not during a Grizzlies game, so I was very confused.
It happened right after Dillon Brooks changed all of his stuff on Instagram. That's what I thought it was about.
Yeah. So that's what we're thinking. Okay, we just weren't sure. I'm making sure.
At DraftKings, Boston, who's not out of the first round yet. I don't know. I mean, basically, you have to go back to the Warriors with Durant. Boston's not out of the first round yet. Guess what they are to win the East without looking?
200.
Plus 200, yeah.
So, Brad, you said plus 200. Brian, what do you say?
I said 200 first. You kind of stole my thing there.
I said 200. I said minus, but it came out. I was supposed to say plus.
You're both saying plus 200.
I would think, right?
You're close in that it's 175, except there's a minus sign in front of it.
Shut up.
Minus 175 to win the East.
Shut up.
Sixers plus 330, Knicks plus 650, Heat 9-1, Hawks 100-1.
Well, I already have a Sixers plus 400 ticket.
I have a Sixers to win it all at like 17-1. I think this is gonna sound biased. I think if I had to pick a matchup right now, I might go Suns and Sixers. And that sounds like a biased fan, but I hate the Sixers more than anything. But if you're telling me if we can get healthy and Joe gets the extra days rest, we don't the Sixers have to beat the Celtics. I know that's their bane of existence, but the Hawks beat them twice. And the Bucks are out. If there was ever an avenue for them to make a run, it'd be a healthy Joel right now. And
but Joel's not healthy,
you don't have
right?
to.
I just took a few fun bets. I took before the playoffs. I took a few fun bets. Lakers to beat the Sixers in the finals, 140-1. Then I picked Lakers Knicks finals. I think 100 to 1 also. So I don't know that I'll get there, but I got some live tickets here that are interesting. I'm just shocked that's minus 175. That surprised me, but I guess it makes sense. I mean, I don't really trust Harden. I never trust the Sixers. Maybe that's a better series than people think. Who knows? Maybe we're sitting here talking about a game 7, Atlanta, Boston. I mean, we're just penciling Boston through. You still got to win a game. I know they're huge favorites in both these games, but man, I don't know. Pretty interesting. It's been a fun playoff so far. Anything else on NBA? You guys want to get to the draft?
Let's talk the draft. I'm looking up this Embiid stuff. So today or tomorrow is the big meeting with the doctors to see exactly how bad it is. Brian, you should have told us that information. You're our inside guy.
Yeah, that's fair.
That would be enough to keep me off of it. Embiid, like that just scares me. And man, it's just every year he seems to be hurt. All right, draft. What do we think we know here? Young is going to go 1. I guess at 2, the line is moving to Anderson. Anderson's like minus $3 in a lot of spots. Do we think that's real? Brad, I know you're studying this too. Brian, you don't have it where you are. It's hard to find draft stuff this year. Just general takeaways here in terms of what's going to happen here in a few hours in the draft.
Okay, so can I have the floor? I don't want to talk too much, but
Go.
I have a real sense that since the NBA draft, there has been this precedent set that the public is moving the lines way more than before. And I think it's causing a lot of draft confusion. When I gave out Will Anderson to be the first defensive player taken, right? And that was when Tyree Wilson was like plus 500. And then all of this Tyree Wilson stuff comes out. But it wasn't me saying that I think that Will Anderson's going to be a better player overall or will have more sacks. We know Tyree Wilson has all the intangibles to be a great D-end. It's not always about that, though. It's not always about getting the good D-end who goes and gets 2 sacks a game. Sometimes you need the quarterback of your defense. And when you have D'Amico Ryans coming in to try to rebuild one of the worst defenses in the NFL, sometimes that's more important than going after the guy who's going to get you a ton of sacks. You want that leader. You want that guy. And I don't think they're going to go quarterback. I don't think they're a Will Levis away from being good. I think that especially with D'Amico Ryan's success at San Francisco, how they're going to be a good team is they're going to take the exact same philosophy as San Francisco did and build that defensive line. Then you go chase after that quarterback. They were wrong in chasing their quarterback in Trey Lance, but they already had an established defensive line that they built over the years.
Are you buying Anderson at 2? So life on the line, who goes 2?
Life on the line? Oh, man. Life on the line, I go Anderson, but I'm not betting that number, if that makes any sense.
It does.
Yeah. I think Anderson. It's funny you mentioned D'Amico Ryans. That's like my favorite jersey I have. I have a D'Amico Ryans Eagles jersey. I love D'Amico Ryans. He's
an Alabama
one of those guys yeah, no, but I used to be like an honorary Texans fan when I was a kid, just because they were new, and I was like, oh, they suck so much. And I was a big Andre Johnson fan, so I had an Andre Johnson jersey.
He was so good, man. He was so nasty.
AJ, like, he's the only jersey I had that's not an Eagles jersey. Like, that's special. Like, I really liked him growing up. But yeah, I do think. I was talking to some people about this. Did you see there's like a Twitter movement to void the Levy bets? Like, it was like a hashtag void Will Levy, whatever. Like, as a joke.
That's
hilarious.
It was
all a joke, but it was so funny that really was a Twitter, a week old Twitter account. A Reddit account changed the whole odds.
And you never know, that could be somebody who works for a sports book trying to manipulate the market. And
yeah,
we've seen them do that.
I've never seen, what was he, 40, like 400 to 1? Like
40 to, I think it was 40 to 1, went down to like 4 to 1. And yeah, people
I've
took
never
the bait.
seen yeah.
There has to be some information that came out on that second overall pick, because first defensive player is now officially off the board.
Interesting. People and some of these, where are you looking?
I looked on FanDuel. I looked at FanDuel. Then I looked offshore. DraftKings markets suck, so I haven't really been looking there.
Right. I think as we get closer to the draft, some of these books are just going to start pulling stuff so they don't get, like, you want the handle, but you don't want to get caught with your pants down. So
yeah,
some of these books are just.
But it's just weird, like that one specific, like,
right.
Especially being the number 2 pick, I feel like that what you call it. But in my Jack Campbell, for those who don't know, I have Jack Campbell to be first linebacker taken. That line is coming down. It's now down to plus 230 on FanDuel.
And so there's I agree. Anderson probably goes 2. I don't know with this team. I really don't know if there's something behind it. Stroud is now the favorite to go 3rd. There's been a lot of opinions that people think he could really fall. Now there's rumors Titans are going to trade up to get him.
Obviously he won't fall past the Colts though. There's no way if he's there at 4.
Well, there were people that thought he could fall out of the top 10.
Draft.
A lot of people thought he could fall out of the top 10. Like all the mocks I was listening to, that Levis could go, and then whoever could go ahead of him. But look, who knows how much this is real.
I'll just say the Colts have been this weird quarterback retirement factor for so long that if they get a chance to get him at 4, I feel like you just have to take the chance, because when's the last time they've actually made a move looking at a future for their signal caller rather than just picking up some like 48-year-old and throwing him behind the terrible offensive line and seeing what happens.
Well, Brad, I think you do. Do you do work with Drew Dinsick?
Yep.
He always has great draft info, NBA, NFL. And I was listening to his podcast, and he said he heard that Stroud's interviews went terrible. Specifically, his interview with the Colts was a disaster, an absolute disaster. So who knows? Again, who knows?
And he hasn't been doing himself any favors either with his interviews.
Right.
Like they're kind of interviewing like, oh, this was already given to me, you know?
But there's rumors the Titans would trade up to 3 to get it with the Cardinals. You do have the Vrabel, Ohio State, CJ Stroud, Ohio State, like connection there. I don't know if that means anything. Titans seem like they're ready to move on from Tannehill. Anything that's available right now that you'd bet?
Yeah, I'd bet Jack Campbell over Drew Sanders. And I'll explain this one briefly. Why on earth would you bet minus 180 on Drew Sanders to be the first linebacker taken in the draft? There's no statistical backing, no physical backing, because Jack Campbell's bigger, faster, stronger, jumps higher, has played the position longer. Drew Sanders was the edge rusher, then moved to linebacker. He can play in coverage, which Drew Sanders doesn't play in coverage, like when you run Tampa 2. So why would you pay minus 180? It could totally blow up in my face, you know? But Jack Campbell is the Dick Butkus Award winner who anchored the best defense in the country, who outstatted him, out-tested him. I just think that if you're looking at value, it's the most value.
So let's do let's throw together our mock what should we use? Top 5?
Yeah.
You want to go first, Brad?
Go first. I gotta pull mine up. Hold on.
All right. I
can go.
Go.
So I got Bryce Young, Will Anderson. I was stuck on number 3 because I think number 3 trades. And if number 3 trades, that's Arizona, then I think someone's going to go either after Wilson or Stroud here. If not, then we got Stroud. This one's tough. We got Stroud or do not shoot the messenger here, because I think this is an awful pick. This is not what I would do. Or Anthony Richardson.
All right. So what's your top 5?
My top 5, Bryce, Anderson. This is a blank, and then Stroud or.
No, you gotta fill it in. Blanks are not acceptable. This is the Goldboys network. This is.
Oh my God. All right. Let's say Cardinals keep the pick, then they go with Paris, the offensive lineman, because I don't think that they want to go after Wilson, and I don't think that they're going to go after a quarterback because they have Kyler, and then I also don't think that they're going to do Jalen Carter, because if they go after a defensive lineman, it would be Wilson over Carter because of the ability to get sacks. They were the second fewest quarterback pressures. So that was my biggest toss up. So we'll Paris.
The Cardinals, if the Cardinals keep the pick, I think they're going to go defense, whether it's secondary or edge. Like
I don't think, but it's not. It's the problem is not what they need. There's the secondary is a little high for the secondary for this draft class.
Yeah, that's what I think they're going to trade back and get like a Gonzalez or something like later. Yeah, I don't know if they keep that. I don't know if they keep that pick. If they do, so my top 3 would have been them getting Wilson if they keep it, but I think they trade back.
All right, you guys we got to finalize a mock.
I'll give mine. All right, I'm finalizing. Everyone's staying where they are. Young, Anderson, Paris Johnson, Anthony Richardson, Jalen Carter.
Brian, what do you got?
Okay. I'll go Will Levy at 1. Now I'll go Bryce Young, Anderson. I think they trade back, but I'll go if we're saying it, they keeping the pick, right? I
No,
think
just however you think
the
it's going to go.
However you
I
want.
think it's too complicated to
But
build in trades.
I'll go Wilson because I'm going to assume they're going to keep the pick. And then I had Stroud go into the Colts. I still think if he's there, they'll take him. And then I had the Seahawks getting Carter.
All right, I will go Young, Levis.
Really? So you have them 2?
I'll go Young, Levis, Paris Johnson, Anderson, Carter.
So
Feel
you better play
horrible
that.
about it.
You better play that 9-1 on Levis then.
Yeah, I already have it. I mean, I have
I'm
been a
gonna
couple
write
weeks
down
ago.
what I just said. Yeah, I will say the hardest part, because you mentioned no one knows this year because it's so tough. The hardest part of trying to make a mock draft for the top 5, which is usually easier than now, is that the Texans have so many holes that they literally could not go wrong with like 3 different options.
Yeah.
Well, there was rumors, and Drew put this out there, Brad, that the Texans, that there was an offer on the table from the Pats with Mac Jones, their first this year, their first next year, another 4th or 3rd round or something like that, for the number 2 to move up and draft Levis. Which, if you're the Texans, you could have drafted an edge rusher, you could have gotten Mac Jones, you could have drafted Bijan Robinson, have an extra one next year, and you have a decent little team right away with a bunch of picks and okay quarterback. Doesn't sound like that's going to happen, but should be a lot of fun. Anything else before we get out of here?
Lock in that Campbell bet, guys. I just feel like at 2.5 to 1, like you got to play it. Like, come on, got to play it. I'm gonna post something in my channel and on Goldboys of what I'm talking about statistically. I have this beautiful chart, the RAS chart, and I'm gonna post it for you guys to see.
All right. Well, we got NBA tonight. We got NFL draft, hockey playoffs, full day of baseball. So check out Goldboys, Boom Fantasy, Pickett Sports. We got you covered. Brad, Brian, good show, boys. We will we'll see you next time. Good luck with all your plays.